Hello everybody and welcome to the fifth round of the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship this season from Sebring. So we take on our first double feature round, partly because of the schedule change that has seen sprint rounds removed and the two race formats return, although not the same as the normal feature round that we see three more times before this season is concluded. It is myself, Ian O'Leary, and Jared Cole in commentary for you this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are in the world, for this fifth round of the championship, after which we'll be at the halfway stage of this season. We've got over 30 drivers in the session here tonight, and once again it seems that Dylan Shepherd is not one of them, so we've definitely got a championship favourite now in terms of Reece Wakefield. We'll try and get these some standings in time for next week, or indeed the coming weeks as this season draws to its conclusion. But Jared, I think as we get into this race, everybody will recognise that Reece Wakefield is probably the favourite for all of these races going forward, especially considering his performance last week and the week before, Sandown and Catalonia, since Dylan Shepherd unfortunately started to no-show at the start of these rounds.
Well, with very good reason that Reece has the number one on the side of his car. Good evening, everybody, or a good morning, of course, wherever you are in the world. We hope you're doing well. It's great to be back in the booth again, and this will be a very, very interesting one. I think you're spot on. Reece Wakefield remains the hot favourite here. He's a GT3 magician, is essentially my view on it, from having raced alongside him here and there. He's just ridiculously fast, but then of course there are a bunch of ridiculously fast drivers in this field. There are a couple of new names tonight as well that we haven't seen before, the likes of James Foster, Ryan Borg, Pat Trappett, I know has raced here at MC at some point. I can't remember when the last time we saw Pat was, but he's back in amongst it tonight for Sebring. And this double feature round is going to be a bit of a challenge for the drivers, given the fuel restrictions. My estimates say that they should be able to squeeze, at full noise, they should get about 14 laps out of a full, although limited tank. The question will be, does anyone have the intestinal fortitude, the guts that it takes to try and fuel save and make it a full 20 laps, and will it even be worthwhile to do that? I think a lot of it tonight is going to depend on safety cars and the flow of this race in both races tonight, as to what strategy the drivers adopt with their fuel and their pit stops tonight.
Yeah, because it's a 20-lap race and the lap is nearly 2 minutes, you'd expect the race to be about 40 minutes each, and that with a fuel restriction of 50% does seem too far. Just beg the question, what amount of fuel saving would, as you say, get them there? I think it's much more likely we're going to see guys just running it out and taking that little bit of fuel for the whatever point in the race it is. But pit window could be quite wide, so we'll see how they do and how they cope with these double feature rounds. I must admit, I was a little bit disappointed to miss the 3 race evenings, the sprint rounds. I know there wasn't going to be too many of them, but you know, it's a bit of a shame, I think. But you know, the race organisers wanted to keep the race starts, I think, to a minimum because of the 3 starts we saw at the Algarve were maybe a little bit less clean than they would have liked. But you know, it's a shame not to have that 3rd different format, I think, in this series that yeah, unfortunately is now been replaced by this format, which is sort of not really sprint racing, I would argue. 20 laps around here is actually quite a sizable race, really.
It's a long lap here at Sebring. It's just shy of 2 minutes in a GT3 car, and it doesn't sound like a lot extra over and above some of the other rounds that we've had so far, but a 2-minute lap really does stretch on forever, and Sebring is one of those tracks that just seems to never end when you're actually driving it. It's one of my least favourites, which I've mentioned a few times around the place, and I think I might be in the minority there, but the track surface here at Sebring, I've been on 4-wheel drive tracks that are less bumpy than this. It's an old airfield, and so you know the surface is marred with all sorts of tarmac snakes and differences in height of surfaces. But for the most part, in fact, all of this track very, very flat in terms of elevation. It really is just a battle against the surface, and it does make that 2 minutes feel like an eternity to me, at least.
You're not in the minority as far as I'm concerned, by the way. I don't like seeing very much either, to be honest with you. But there you go. It does have a lot of character, this circuit, a lot of history with the bumps and whatever. But I think without that, then I'm not sure what it does have really. But there you go. 31 drivers have currently set a time in this qualifying session. Still waiting for a couple of drivers to get out there, see if they actually do get out there here today. But as I say, 31 times currently on the board, and Reece Wakefield currently has the best of them. He was actually a long way down in practice. It did a 58, sort of high 58 at best, which had him well outside the top 10. But in the shorter qualifying session, obviously everyone not quite up to the same kind of speed, and Reece Wakefield has somehow managed to turn it around and get up towards the top. So not sure what he would have been doing in practice really. Maybe he was doing a 20-lap run for one of these races to practice that rather than practice qualifying, because I was surprised to log on and see how far down he was in practice, but this is a bit more like what you'd expect from him.
Yeah, not unusual to see Reece taking it a little bit easier through the practice sessions. It seems to happen pretty often. Have a look at just how much these GT3 cars are bouncing around already. It really highlights the inconsistency of the track surface here at Sebring, and just how much the drivers are fighting against the car being so unstable just constantly. There are some sections where you get a small breather, but for the most part, this is what the chassis is doing the whole way around the lap of Sebring. It is bouncing around, it's trying its best to break traction on those tyres, and even with the driver aids that are in these cars, the ABS, the traction control, it is an absolute nightmare to try and keep a car pointed in the right direction getting around this circuit.
And last time around, by the way, Wakefield did just extend his advantage ever so slightly over the rest of the field. Danny Davison, no improvement from him there as he comes over the line. He's in 3rd place at the moment, similarly with the same time as Daniel McCrone, to the thousandths of a second. So Davison goes first, as he was first to set that time. McCrone only just now on his previous lap has managed that. Ryan Palmer in the Corvette.
Now, Palmer's been in race control all season.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm not quite sure of a couple of things, honestly. I'm not quite sure of what he's doing out on track tonight. Is he jumping into the race or not? I'm going to have to get him shifted from our race control list into the driver list if so. And I'm also not sure what on earth is going on with this livery. It is something very, very different. ADHD are known for some pretty out there liveries, but this is a new one. I haven't seen this one before, and I'm not convinced that ADHD have paid their regular painter to do this. I think this might even be a Ryan Palmer special. Oh, look at it. There you go. On the back, I made this paint. Yeah, well, it stands out, right?
Oh, right.
We can tell, mate.
That explains a lot, yeah.
A lot, doesn't it? Doesn't it just?
I must say, I didn't notice it being particularly sort of odd until you pointed it out. I was just like,
when you start to look at it, it just comes apart a bit, doesn't it?
There are some cleaner ones through the field, that's for sure. Very, very wide there for Ryan Borg. You see he comes up towards the line. He does have a purple sector in all of this lap, but I mean, you look how many sectors there are. I'm not sure how much praise that really is giving. I'm not sure, how many is it? It's 7, I think, around here. It's about 4 too many, but there you go. Dave Davison moves up to second place after a lap off. He's improved there, so he's up into second place in the Corvette, the much cleaner Max Boost livery. Actually, I think the new Max Boost livery actually suits this Corvette very well. The black base and the effectively blue highlights is all it is these days. I think it's quite effective on a Corvette, actually.
Yeah, really nice, sharp, clean lines, and it's something that does make the Corvette stand out on track. It's a very angular kind of a body on that compared to some of the far more traditionally aerodynamically shaped cars we do have, and then of course the Porsches just being the little bubble of a thing that they are. It's a nice pointy kind of a car. I really do like the Corvettes. If I could only get them to actually hustle along a track and be as fast as they actually look, I might even drive them more often.
It seems that some of the guys are able to get it going. Yeah, I guess it's like all these manufacturers, not suiting everyone, that's for sure. But it's Corvettes in this series that have been mobbing the front, that's for sure. And well, ever since Sterling Shepard to first up winning in the Audi, but yeah, it's Corvettes at the front. It is in this session again as we follow through the final couple of turns again into the pit lane for James Foster. On 22nd, just over a second off of the pole, but there's 20 drivers within a second. So again, that is encouraging for this race, especially when you consider how long this circuit is. Actually, it's very, very encouraging just how close everybody is. Really, there's 5, and is the second of the Mercedes at the moment, looking for an improvement here. And he does need quite an improvement, even to move up to 4th place. Needs nearly 0.2 of a second to get ahead of Daniel McCrone there.
Which over the course of a lap of this distance is not as much as it sounds. You know, you go to some of these tracks and you're trying to find thousandths of a second. Finding tenths is not actually out of the question here, and that's made obvious, of course, by the massive spread we've got of different times throughout all of the drivers that are even those within a second of the lead, as Thomas Searle crosses the line and picks up a 5th spot as well with a 58.59. So another one getting close but not quite there on Reece Wakefield's time. Danny Davison's going to probably be the one to challenge Wakefield tonight if the times are anything to go by. Jeremy Washington won't be far off the back, but some of these drivers, they're going to have to look for just a little bit of extra race pace tonight if this qualifying time from Wakefield is anything to go by. It is a very, very fast time and very few people getting anywhere close to it at the moment.
Meantime, at the final corner for James O'Harney, one of the few McLarens in the field. Got a couple of McLarens down the bottom who've not qualified at the moment as Reece Wakefield comes into pit lane. That should be the end of his session now in the number 1 car. See if anybody can challenge him here tonight in a way that hasn't really happened for the last few weeks. Chris Lashbrook up towards the line here from 11th position, and he needs a small improvement to move quite close to the top 5, but he doesn't get it. And it seems that at the end of these 20 minutes now, most people have hit their limit, really. Danny Davison set a personal best first sector this time round, but not much more than that. Personal best penultimate sector, and straight on into the wall meantime for Ryan Borg, who quickly escapes out of the way. Davison stays in second, and this session is coming to a slow end now, as not many improvements are coming in anymore.
No, just under a minute to go, and of course this will, if I've got it right this week, and I think I'm starting to get this right most weeks, the session with only about 35 seconds left to run now. If you're not within cooey of the finish line, then you're not going to get there before you are booted on back to the pits. Alex Cattle might be, I think, just about the last driver who makes it home, but it's going to be a very, very close thing. He's got about 20 seconds left to go here. He only needs another 10 or so, but I don't think anyone else is close enough to actually record another time.
No, I don't think so. Let's wait and see what the time's going to be for Cattle. It's going to be 25th still. So yeah, I think that's going to be it as far as improvements are concerned, and as far as laps are concerned, that's the end of it as well. So that is the session. And here is the grid. Grace Wakefield on the pole in front of Danny Davison here, by less than a tenth in the end of Jeremy Washington. Daniel McCrone will be sharing row 2. Thomas Searle and then Trent Thomas will be on row 3, ahead of Chris Miller and Ryan Borg. Liam Jensen and Mick Poley rounds out the top 10. Chris Lashbrook is next to Thomas Krul, with Troy Maguire and Michael Whiting sharing row 7. It's James O'Hardy and Ryan Palmer on row 8, ahead of James Doyle, Pat Trappett, Mitch Curry and Jared Burns round out the top 20. Chris Croak is ahead of James Foster, with Ian Ward and then Patrick Frame on row 12. Alex Cattle and Cruz McVie is row 13, ahead of Dean Powen, James Bunker, then Cody Blackman and Dan Bartush. The last driver to set a time was Christian Tatchenko. Scott Stevens and Brian East are in the field, at least in the session. Scott Stevens has gridded up as well, see whether Brian East does as well at the back of the field. Well, could be 33 drivers at maximum then, ready for this 20-lap race. 40 minutes as well. They've got 50 minutes to do it as well. So plenty of time for this one. And it's another case of who can beat Reece Wakefield here, if anybody, in this one today.
And, you know, with absolutely perfect weather, and Sebring being a track with lots of runoff, you wouldn't expect any problems with the time certain finish here. As you said, you know, and there's not likely to be any stoppages or safety car, extended safety car periods, I wouldn't imagine. There's very few spots where you would expect an incident that might bring on a safety car. Probably the only one that I'll be watching closely is the hairpin at about, what is it? I think it's about turn 6 or 7 by the time you get through those first few. That's probably the big danger point here tonight, especially on these opening laps.
Let's see how these opening laps get on here from Sebring. The first double alternate feature of the season in the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship. Standing starts as always in this series. Always something a little bit different, which is good. Still waiting for a couple of drivers to get themselves onto the grid, including Jeremy Washington as well, who will look like he's going to use the whole of the 3 minutes by the looks of things. A couple of guys a little bit further down will as well. I mentioned Scott Stevens has gotten onto the grid, so has Brian East down the back end of the field as well. So we will get all 33 drivers onto the grid. For whatever reason, they decided not to qualify, but they are going to race, which is good. A nice field of 33 here tonight for round 5. Which brings us, by the way, to the halfway stage of the season. Just one more week though until the mid-season break, which comes after the Mugello round next week. Then we'll be having a week off before the final run to the end of the season. Next week's race, by the way, is the second and final endurance round. But tonight it's a double alternate feature, and we're ready to go for 20 laps at Sebring. Lights are on, and they're out. We're underway, and it's not a great start from Jeremy Washington at the front of the field. Oh no, it looks like we've got trouble further back as well. Thomas Searle has gone. Oh no, we've got big trouble on the front straight here. It's a very narrow pit straight at Sebring, and it's collected everybody. Thomas Searle was one getting away very, very slowly from the top 5. And I'm not sure how many have survived this. About 10 or 15 have gotten away cleanly. The rest of them have piled into a big one on the front straight.
Not the start that any of those drivers would have been hoping for. I think we're going to see a very early safety car here, just waiting to see if we do have... I know Scott Bartine's jumped into the car, so whether or not he'll be actually called out onto track, and there it is, the call has been made. Race control have confirmed that this is now under safety car. What a massive start. I'm not actually even sure where exactly that kicked off, but not at all what a lot of those drivers would have been hoping for tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the leaders got away fairly well. I mean, Jeremy Washington was slow off the line and initially saw, and then I guess that's where it would have started, with everybody sort of piling in with him at the front. Not entirely sure. Let's wait for Adamus to keep his lead, and in fact the top 2 managed to keep their positions entirely. The top 15, other than those 2, have all gained places. Thomas Searle is the first in the order directly to lose positions, but this is going to take some working out, so it's a good job we've got a safety car here, so we can actually do this properly and try and figure out. Oh dear, that is terrible, by the way, from Chris Lashbrook there. It's just, did you see that? Just reversed straight into a McLaren there.
Not what Brian East would have,
I think.
Yeah, not what he would have been expecting at that point, I'm sure. Chris Lashbrook, a bit of ADHD on ADHD violence there to get us started. And we're now going to line up behind the safety car and get restarted. This is always a challenging track for a safety car, because it's such a long lap at full race pace. It turns into almost 4 minutes, I think, for a lap under safety car conditions. So this will have a more significant impact than I probably initially thought we might get from a safety car. Some of these drivers coming into the pits early, that will be for damage repair as opposed to a refuel. It's far too early to be refueling here. Although under safety car, could you now potentially be looking at saving enough under the safety car to get away with refuel now? I think it's probably still a bit too early. If the safety car was going to be out there for another 2 laps, maybe, but. Yeah, lap 2, just too much left in this race, even with some fuel saving, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't count it out if this safety car runs to the end of lap 3.
I mean, it's worth a shot too, though, isn't it? It's worth a shot. If you want to drive as a fuel saving race from here on, if even just refueling after that first lap might be enough to give you enough range to get home, but it's going to be a close thing for a lot of the drivers. I'm just trying to see if there is a better shot of what happened at the start there. We might try and get a blimp shot on the iRacing Designs replay. So Chris Lashbrook avoids the poor start there, and then the chaos that unfolds as everyone just pinballs between those 2 concrete walls. And then unfortunately this last one, Brian is lucky to keep his rear wing there.
I mean, that one is very silly at the end there. So, is it Thomas Searle who doesn't get away at all? And where is Jeremy Washington in all of that? Because it seemed to me like he was the one who got away very slowly. So did Searle hit Washington very early there? They started very near each other. The reason why I mention it, Searle started fifth place. Jeremy Washington started 3rd. So that would be my guess.
Watch Thomas Searle in behind Jeremy Washington there, jumps out to the inside, makes a little bit of contact, gets it into the wall. And that's what's caused everyone diving up the inside, and gets absolutely pinned by the cars coming back across. It was avoiding Thomas Searle that put Lashbrook into the other ADHD car. Searle, for his part, gets away with it reasonably cleanly.
He didn't pit.
No. I would expect we're going green after this lap, but we will see.
Yeah, we will see. Brian East is not actually in the field yet, and neither is Scott Bartine, who's. Oh, sorry, that's Scott Bartine's driving the safety car. I'm so used to Scott driving.
I know, it's unusual to see him driving at such a low rate of knots, isn't it?
I know, yeah. But yeah, fooled me there for a second. You'd think one of the advantages of having a player-driven safety car, I'll call it, is the fact that it can go a bit quicker than normal, but that's not seemingly what we're doing here. It will only be a problem really if we go on for another lap here. We'll see whether Bartine actually comes into the pit lane, but
does look like he'll be out for another lap here. He's certainly not pulled away from the field, and I believe that the back straight there is the zone where the safety car is set to pull away. So it does look like we'll have another lap under safety car, and all of a sudden maybe those drivers that came into the pits do have a shot at making it home on whatever fuel they've picked up while they're in there. So keep your eyes on this group back here. Pat Trappett in 27th, Jeremy Washington, Thomas Cool, Chris Lashbrook, Ryan Palmer and Brian East have all been into the pits. Patrick Frame's going to come in now, and he's going to chance his luck as well. They're a long way back in the field, but geez, could it be on? I wonder. We're going to have a very, very tight finish here.
Yeah, I'm surprised not more of those at the back didn't actually decide to come in and just top off on fuel there, because I don't think it is possible unless you do get that little bit of extra fuel in right now. Because, you know, I sort of in this situation forget about the laps and think about the time remaining in the race. So when there's 17 laps to go like this, there's probably 34 minutes to go, let's say, for the ease of maths. 34 minutes to go. That's not impossible at all by the time we go back racing. So if you top off on fuel the latest you possibly can, you're effectively giving yourself the fullest tank to do those 34 minutes. That is not an unreasonable distance to go with a bit of, well, quite a lot of fuel saving. They're probably 2 laps short still, but there might be some fuel saving attempted down the back of the field. I do think the front guys are going to be too quick, and they will make a pit stop and indeed come out in front of Patrick Frame and indeed to Brian East, who's decided to also go on for a top off on fuel as well. But even so, they could get a decent result out of it. That's surely what they've got to be aiming for back there.
Well, you've got to give a shot at something here, right? When you found yourself down the back due to just the schmozzle on the start finish line, what else do you do at this stage? You know, you've got to try a very, very different strategy because you're not going to make it back through this field from that point to be back up the front. So, you know, do you try and get back there through a strategy that these front runners can't make happen at this point? I don't know. It seems a lot more achievable at this stage because, you know, we were talking 14 odd laps out of a full tank. If you've picked up some extra fuel, topped off that first 4 litres that you've used on the opening lap potentially, then really, I mean, are you potentially able to save, you know, 3 extra laps of fuel compared to trying to save 6 extra laps of fuel? Is that actually a bit more achievable? I'd have to think so.
Yeah. Well, let's see what they decide to do back there as a safety car. Isn't it going to be in at the end of this lap here? Get the notification just before the chicane. So Scott Bartine will pull away down the back straight, it seems, and Reece Wakefield will be in control of the field very soon, getting us back underway again in this championship. I don't remember when the last time we saw a safety car was in one of these races now.
It's been a little while. It's been.
It has.
You know, we've had some incidents for sure over the opening 4 rounds, but nothing that threatened to cause any more issues. You know, we've had tracks that generally have had a little bit of runoff for drivers to find their way out into, or indeed for the crashes to just slide off into. But of course, the front straight here at Sebring, concrete wall on one side, concrete wall on the other, and when it happens off the start line like that, there's really no option but to call the safety car out.
Well, absolutely. That's probably the biggest start line crash we've seen this season, that is for sure. But it's bound to happen at Sebring, where the walls are so close. on the front straight as Reese Wakefield brings them out of the final turn and up towards the start-finish line. He's waiting, and he's going to cause a bit of trouble for those at the back as well, who are trying to anticipate the launch as well. But now he goes up towards the start-finish line. The green flag's waving again here at Sebring with 17 laps to go. So in towards turn one, he's got quite a gap as Wakefield in front of Davison, then McCrowan, Trent Thomas fourth, and then Ryan Borg. And it's orderly in the background as well. This single file restart is very clean all the way through, but single file as well. Davison goes off in the meantime. He'll have a slowdown penalty as he cut turn 4 there. He only has it briefly, but he's under big pressure now from Trent Thomas and Ryan Borg.
Just a little bit wide. The tyres still would have been very, very cold, and I suspect it's probably caught him out just a little bit. It would have been an issue had this been 3 opening laps at full race pace. The tyres would be up to temp nicely. A little bit of contact there as well between Thomas and Borg. They're side by side. Someone wants to figure that out pretty quickly here. It looks like Trent Thomas will be the one that does. The front 3 starting to pull away as this battle carries on for 4th and 5th. Thomas and Borg still side by side. Trent Thomas backs out, almost makes contact with Chris Miller behind in the Fishy Motorsports car, and all of a sudden Ryan Borg just starts to skip away just a little. He might have a shot to actually stay with that front group now.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think the biggest beneficiary out of that battle, to be honest, was probably Dane Davison. Although he wasn't involved in it, it did give him a little bit of a reprieve there after his off-track moment through turn 4, which he really did need, because that could have got difficult for him with the amount of drivers queuing up here. If he'd have started to be shuffled back there. Trent Thomas misses the apex there at Le Mans, and that is going to allow Miller, surely, Chris Miller, to get through down towards Sunset, and you can barely see him behind the Mercedes there before he pulls out now to the inside line towards Sunset. Ben, Mick Poley is not going to be able to follow through just through the final turn, but nearly contact there. Miller gets through, and he suddenly spins. He's going to get in the wall here, Chris Miller, and that is going to give him damage, surely. He's going to drop outside the top 10 comfortably, and it's big damage on the Corvette. The rear bumper falls off. Guys are trying to get around him. He's fighting with that car as well, and Stevens meantime is slowing as well on the front straight here. Trouble at Sunset Bend for a couple of drivers, and Miller just went in too hot there, and it's cost him dearly.
And again, just I suspect just not quite up to temp on the tyres yet. They'll be getting close after a lap of Sebring, but still not at that full grip. And it is a trap every time around in these opening laps. And when you do get a tyre change done, they take so long to get the heat in them and actually give you the amount of traction you're expecting. The safety cars really do catch people out like that. Sometimes we've got Searle now alongside Mitch Curry. Curry just drops back in behind, but he's found himself up in 13th at the moment. It's a very, very different looking field to what we started with on the grid.
It absolutely is. Only one driver has retained their qualifying position, and that is Reese Wakefield at the front of the field, nearly 2 seconds ahead of the rest, and he is a big favourite for this race now. Despite hitting the wall on lap 1, Thomas Searle doesn't seem to be affected by it too much, can't see any damage, and doesn't seem to actually be any either. And given the fact they're all in this train here that's very, very close to one another, I just wonder how far Searle can actually get himself through the field here, because the positions are all there for him.
It'd be a hell of a recovery, wouldn't it? Because he certainly lost a lot off the start, and as you say, to only be down 7 is very impressive indeed. There's cars dipping in and out all over the place. Troy Maguire was just having a look up the inside there. I'm not quite sure why he moved to the inside. He didn't need to defend from Salhani, but maybe just shifting the tyres around a little bit, just trying to get a little bit of extra temp in there. Wakefield into the 159s out in front, so he's just starting to chip away and build that lead out to 2 seconds now over McCrowan and Davison. The 2 Team Max Boost cars still within reach of each other, but Reese Wakefield already starting to just tighten that stranglehold on this race.
Yeah, indeed, as expected really. The top 5 are all extending a gap on one another at the moment. It's that midfield where the field is especially close. And Thomas Searle, one of those who's trying to work his way forward into turn 7. They come now. Is there going to be any late dives here in the field? Looking down. Not this time. Side by side is a little bit further back actually. Trappit trying to get past Blackman, can't do it. Further back as well, even further back. That Lashbrook maybe being challenged by Palmer. It's all very close all the way through though, but little side by side. Everybody running in one long line here.
And it is a very, very long line. That said, there's still a few little moves happening here as Cody Blackman and James Bunker come together. Bunker just nudges on through there, and unfortunately Blackman finds himself off the track as a result. He loses a few spots. I don't know whether we'll see any redress of that at this point. Now he's alongside Lashbrook, who finds himself on the outside of this turn, but gets the power down and starts to move it along. James Bunker out in front is just at the head of this group that extends from 21st back to 30th, and then with a little bit of clean air in front, you've got still that massive group that runs, well, it's from Mick Poley in 6th place. This train runs all the way back to 20th. We've got 15 cars involved in this, and everyone within about a half second of each other at the moment.
Yep, all the way down, which is Thomas Searle's in. So this is definitely pit window open now. 14 laps to go, which is less than half an hour. That's definitely pit window time. So Searle is tired of being stuck in this traffic and decides that a pit stop is the best way to get out of it. Ian Ward just backs away from turn 1 there, with Alex Cattle getting into 17th, just up in front. So this group is just starting to disintegrate a little bit now. Not quite as numerous as it was earlier on, and the pit stops are only going to accelerate that phenomenon actually happening here. You can see Foster, James Foster just in behind Chris Crowe for 14th position. He has a look to the inside, and he does go late on the brakes, in fact, down the inside, down in towards turn 7. But that's quite a nice, easy move, really. With conviction down the inside on the brakes, he can get through rather nicely.
That was exceptionally easy. I wonder what's happened there with Chris Crowe. Didn't look to defend that move. Didn't look too concerned at all about the pace of Foster. Maybe Foster just has been that much quicker behind him for the last little while that he thought it wasn't worth holding him up any longer. They've been pretty evenly matched so far. And Chris Crowe's best lap time is actually pretty well line ball with James Foster's. There's not a lot in it, so I don't know, maybe just caught napping a little bit, not expecting the dive at this point in the race, or thinking about pit strategy. As you said, it's starting to be around about where you would consider coming into the pits and filling up to get home from here. The question will be when the right time strategically is, and I don't know there's a good answer to that with the field still so closely compacted. I think coming in now you do risk losing quite a few spots, and maybe it's worth giving it a little bit of time to spread out. So does this become a strategic game of chicken where all of the drivers are trying to hold off if they can? James Doyle's into the wall out of Sunset Bend.
Yeah, and he's going to drop outside the top 20 as a result of this here. Just about. Cool gets past. Yeah, I don't think there is a blanket answer to that. As Bunker also tries to follow through here into turn 1. He's still on the inside for turn 3, and no, he's going to back out. Yeah, there's not a blanket answer, and it very much depends who you're stuck behind, whether you're in clear air or not. That's Ian Ward, is it, going for a spin, and he's now outside the top 20 as well. So I wonder whether he got help down in towards turn 3, because it's a bit of an unusual place to spin on your own.
It is a little. We might go back and take a look at both of those incidents. I think James Doyle, first of all, coming out of Sunset Bend, the iRacing Designs replay, the bounce in that Mustang, just unsettling it, and couldn't get it pulled up, and then unfortunately just backs it into the tyre bundle, although a relatively soft impact, which he'll be very, very happy about. Ian Ward's the interesting one, though. Is it just a bit of misjudgment under brakes here? Oh, heavy braking from the Proline Esports car in front. I wonder if that might have been Alex Cattle, perhaps, and just a little more on the anchors than Ian was expecting, and as a result into the back of him, and off the track goes Ian Ward.
Well, I think Ward was quite late on the brakes himself, to be honest. I'm not sure it's whether the It was the Mercedes in front that was slowing down too much. I think it was Alex Cattle as well from 16th position. But yeah, it's resulted in a spin for Ian Ward, who's dropped a long way down now. Complete of another lap here. Goodness me, Poli getting close to the wall there and hitting that outside sort of bump on this scan of Sebring, and pretty close to the wall. But Liam Jensen is going to be much more of a concern at the moment to Poli as he starts to apply some pressure here for 6th position. Over the course of the season, Jensen has been quicker, but it's all about making the move on the racetrack now. And in fact, it did qualify better than Poli as well in this race by just the 1 position, but needs to find a way past now.
And it will be tough here tonight. Sebring's not an easy track to get a pass done. There is, of course, the hairpin that offers probably one of the better opportunities to get alongside someone, but it's one of those tracks that you do have to plan the passes out 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 turns in advance, depending on where you are in the circuit. You really are hoping for a mistake from the driver in front, but as you start to get into your rhythm here, I mean, we're halfway into this race, and I wouldn't expect that any of these drivers are anything other than fully race focused now. Obviously, the early safety car would have thrown their plans a little bit and caused them to just take a moment to reset and to reassess their situation. But it does look like I think everyone's pretty well settled in here. And so now the question will be the pit stop strategy and what difference that makes. Hope you're all enjoying it out there in YouTube world and of course on the MC Motorsport Facebook. Welcome on in. If you are on the Facebook page, do feel free to jump across to the Simple Racing Broadcast YouTube channel. You'll see this broadcast in full 4K glory. A big wiggle there from Ian Ward as he tries to get it pulled up and not clatter into the back of Brian East. These guys battling it out for 25th and 26th at the moment. And this is the story at the moment. We're starting to see, rather than big groups, really a collection of 1, 2, maybe 3 drivers just getting together and battling amongst themselves for the moment, rather than heavy and intense multi-car battle. Oh, we've got someone in the background that looks like James Bunker.
Oh dear, a long way down the straight as well. So must have been going on for quite some time. There's a lot of smoke in the background of that shot there as we watched,
which is interesting to say the least. I'm not sure how he got there. We'll go back and take a look. The iRacing Designs replay. He just tapped this outside wall.
Okay, yeah, he taps the outside wall and then spins down the racetrack. So that explains why he got so far down, I suppose. But unfortunately, that is going to give him damage as well, and it's put him down to 26th position in this race. Jeremy Washington back to 17th here. It's been a decent recovery, but unfortunately I think anything less than the top 10 and he'll be a little bit disappointed really, and of course he'll be disappointed whatever happens really here with this race start, because to qualifying 3rd place, it's another bad start. And if you remember back to last week, he also had a pretty slow start at Catalonia as well, so something he probably does need to look into.
A little bit more time spent on the launch practice perhaps. That said, Washington has been into the pits, albeit on lap 1. He doesn't seem to be going for any fuel saving here, so I don't think he's going to be trying to stretch this all the way to the end. We'll expect him to come in and probably take a bit more fuel on, but it's I don't know if he could have saved it, honestly. I don't know if he could have come back from that early incident and found himself perhaps a little further up through the field after pit stops. I guess we'll see where it all shakes out over the next few laps as we start to very quickly approach the limit of what fuel these cars are allowed to have on board. Mick Pole is still fending off Liam Jensen and Troy Maguire. You can almost hear the cogs turning in Troy Maguire's head here. He's just trying to figure out exactly where Liam Jensen and Pole are going to come together and where he can potentially sneak 2 spots out of this one.
There's a bit more of a queue developing now behind Mick Pole, and so can Liam Jensen finally get through as Ryan Palmer gets through on Cody Blackman down into turn 3. That's 22nd position, a little bit further back. Chris Lashbrook not that far in front of these guys at the moment as well, as we're over halfway in this race now. Still lots of groups around, but it doesn't seem that overtaking is too easy at the moment. Surprised, therefore, that not many more have employed the pit stops just at this moment, because we are over halfway through now, which means there can't be too many laps of this pit window left. It will be a narrow pit window as well, because this track's so long.
Yeah, and look, my numbers are a best guess to say 14 laps. It's entirely possible you'll only get 13 out of a full tank. That said, a couple laps of safety car, some of these drivers might be thinking about being able to extend it to 15, possibly even 16 laps. It'd be a stretch, and I don't know that there's necessarily going to be a huge amount of benefit in it. But potentially the benefit is if you have managed to save that much fuel, the benefit could be getting a bit of clear track to run out for a little while everyone else does come in, and that might just get you, I don't know, an extra second or two and an extra couple of positions even.
Trent Thomas is in, so maybe this will kick something off now on lap 11 as first driver from the top 5 decides to go into the pit lane. This promotes this battle to a battle for 5th between Polly, Jensen and Maguire. So a little bit wide into the dirt, and Jensen, and a spin in the background. Mitch Curry in the wall hard through turn 1. He arrived into shot backwards, and he's stuck in the middle of the road. They're having to avoid him here. He's broken his engine badly, and he's going to have to be avoided by everybody here. He's still on the racing line. He finally drags himself out the way. That is big damage for Mitch Curry, who's lost an engine, who's lost a Corvette there, and he has he's going to have to drop to the pit lane. That was as scary as he was still on the racetrack for everybody to avoid, but a big hit for him at turn 1.
Just overcooks it, slides, but then the slide backwards into the barrier, and looked like almost a little bit of physics weirdness there. The rebound was very aggressive, so maybe just an unusual bit of contact with that tyre barrier. But the rear end of that car completely mangled.
I think very often in iRacing the tyre walls do act as trampolines, so
it can happen. It's always interesting to see when it happens. That was probably one of the least extreme examples.
From what I've seen, I mean, it seems more common than not, really, that they bounce and spring off into the racetrack again. Just not really the way tyre walls work, but there you go. He's dropped back to pit lane and will be there for a little while, you would imagine. That's the first retirement, though. Cruz McVie was a non-starter, despite setting a qualifying lap, deciding not to get onto the grid for this one. This is Thomas Kuhl right in behind. And he's got to the inside of Trappett. So Thomas Kuhl has been looking for a way past the Lamborghini and has actually found his way to the inside now. He's on a very narrow line there, and he will get through just about in towards the final turn. Trappett's going to come in and cut his... is he? No, he goes for the undercut. That was a very strange line, but it has given him a better exit onto the front straight here, and the first corner. Got to be careful on the outside there. You don't do the same as what happened to Mitch Curry, and indeed Trappett just backs out of it, and Thomas Kuhl does indeed get through to 14th.
As much as I dislike Sebring as a circuit, the one thing I do admire about it is Sunset Bend, and the fact that there's probably about 5 or 6 different lines you can potentially take through that corner that are almost equally fast across all of them. It really does open up the options there, and you saw Trappett almost take advantage of it. He wants to have a go at this into the hairpin, has a big look, then tucks back in behind. Just not quite the pace to get past Thomas Kuhl. Speaking of pace, though, we haven't actually seen this bloke for a little while. Reece Wakefield out in front by 5.6 seconds now. Absolutely class of his own here tonight at Sebring. McCrowan and Davison, the two Team Max Boost drivers, still sticking in there and relatively close together. They've opened up an almost 5-second gap to Ryan Borg in 4th, so they're certainly moving along together. But Reece Wakefield just absolutely dominating.
Once again, really, it's been the story of the season since Dylan Shepherd was not able to join us for the last 3 rounds of the championship, including this one. And it's given Wakefield a very big advantage in this championship now. So he's leading this race once again, and there's another fastest lap of the race as well. See how far they can go. 14 laps was the early estimates, but might be able to go further now because of the couple of laps under safety car. I think that would have saved them at least one lap of fuel in full speed. This is Ryan Palmer trying to get past Alex Carroll, can't do it, in towards the final chicanes here. It's about for 22nd, as up ahead James Doyle is at the head of the group. Now more stops are happening in front, so Hardy, Foster, Power and Blackman all into the pit lane, and surely some of these that caught in this group will come in as well.
Yeah, it's really, the one I'm watching at the moment is Jeremy Washington, currently sitting in 10th as people start to come through the pits. And look, to be fair, I don't think he's going to make it without making another stop. Same for Thomas Krul, Pat Trumpet, Chris Lashbrook, all stopping on lap 1. Maybe the best one to keep an eye on could indeed even be Chris Miller back in 28th. He made a stop on lap 5, which would be pretty close to make it all the way to the end. But that said, he is behind a number of these drivers who've now come back out of the pits. So I think Miller's incident earlier doing a bit more damage than perhaps was going to be a winning formula for him tonight. James Salhani, 17th, the front runner of those who have pitted. No, sorry, Trent Thomas, I stand corrected, in 14th, pitted on lap 11. So he's probably the effective leader at the moment. That said, a huge gap, 40 seconds to Reece Wakefield. It might be close from Reece's pit stop, but I still think that Reece will be a good 5-6 seconds ahead of Trent Thomas at least. Our estimates here of these gaps are a little bit rubbery at best, and so I would expect to add at least 5 seconds onto that, probably even more. And I imagine I'm going to be proven completely wrong here, and Trent Thomas is going to end up something like 15 seconds or 20 seconds behind Reece Wakefield, if Wakefield ever pits at this rate.
Well, he will have to one day, but he's putting that off for a little bit longer. I think Thomas will be a bit quite a long way behind Wakefield, to be honest, because don't forget he's had the higher fuel load for much of this stint, which will well, it's difficult to keep up with Reece Wakefield anyway, as everybody else is finding. McLaren set a personal best last time around, but still half a second slower than Reece Wakefield's best lap overall. And indeed, that was set last lap. Reece Wakefield clearly getting to the low fuel part of this race now, and well, it looks like it's going to be a very, very comfortable victory. McLaren and Davison, second and third, and you know, the tensions will start to turn now towards the reverse grid race, especially amongst those who know that they'll be starting towards the front, because the top 10 get reversed in this series, as we know. And I just see it being very difficult to keep Reece Wakefield at bay again, because even in the sprint races, to be honest, that we had at the Algarve, they were still able to get through the field quite nicely in 20 odd minutes. I mean, he's got well over half an hour to pick his way through the field here, so I think you know, it could be tricky. Having said that, I think was it at Sandown maybe a couple of weeks ago, we started to see the first signs of just what was, I can't remember who it was now, but it's the first signs of what was required really to keep those top guys behind. And Reece Wakefield did eventually get through and win the race, but not before he was really halted by somebody on his way. So we'll see how that transpires. Anyway, I'm talking about the next race before this one's even 3/4 of the way through. Reece Wakefield and Danny McCrone both in the pit lane. Dan Davison can indeed carry on.
I think he's got another lap in the tank. It can't be much more than that, surely. He must have done a phenomenal job of saving fuel under the safety car to get any more than this out of it. And hopefully he's not misjudged. He can't actually make it around another lap here, but wants to extend it and wants to try and just open it up. It's interesting. This is probably the first time in a little while that I have seen. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, of course, Jeremy Washington will be out in front for now, but he's not going to have the fuel to get to the end. I wouldn't think. He's gotten past Reece Wakefield though, which is I'm a little surprised by that. I didn't think Washington was quite going to catch Wakefield in the pit stop. He's ended up almost 4 seconds ahead. If Washington's done a phenomenal job of saving fuel, this would be the upset of the year, I reckon.
Yeah, of the century.
Quite possibly.
Well, I suppose not for Washington, because he did qualify third, but you know, it would be a surprise. I think he will be able to go one lap further than Davison here, but Danny Davison surely can't go any further than lap 16 here, as you said, and that still, another lap gives Washington 3 laps of fuel saving effectively. There's no way that he's been able to go quick enough to get in the lead of this race and save 3 laps of fuel, so it would be an absolute modern miracle, I think, and Wakefield will retake the lead. Washington will drop down further again, and unfortunately it's another evening of recovery for him. It's a shame really that it's not the 90-minute race here tonight, because once again for the second week in a row Jeremy Washington has had a poor start, and he's going to need 2 races to recover from it, which means it's 2 lots of points really that are being affected.
It is, and at this point in the season it's going to have a pretty significant impact. Danny Davison comes into the pits, that's not surprising. He did manage to milk an extra lap out of it though, so just maybe that's going to give him a little bit of a boost, but he was chasing 6 seconds on Reece Wakefield, so I can't imagine that gap won't still be there. This group has managed to find themselves back together again after the pit stops. Dean Power, James Doyle, Thomas Cool and Ryan Palmer sitting just off the back of this group of 4, now battling it out for 17th. And once again, Koala Cartel cars absolutely everywhere on these tracks. And Washington's in.
Yeah, Washington decides to follow in Davison, so interesting that he couldn't go any further, but Davison comes out just in behind McCrone. Meantime, Doyle and Cool side by side into the final corner here. What's going on here? Doyle slow on the inside. Oh, and a spin from his teammate, and great avoidance from Palmer. Oh, and he's ended up in the pit lane here. Thomas Cool's ended up in the pit lane accidentally. That is a comedy of errors. I think the teammates were trying to orchestrate a pass there through Sunset Bend, and as Cool got on the power, he slips into pit lane, and well, that is something you don't see too often. Thomas Cool is going to drop a long way down because of that.
I can't remember the last time I saw a self-assessed drive-through penalty, but that's more or less what he's just given himself there. He's at best going to have to transit the pit lane under the limiter, and he will find himself a long way further down than he was just a moment ago. Meanwhile, James Foster and Jared Burns side by side. These guys have been battling it out just back and forth for a little while now. Jeremy Washington starting to catch them behind, so he's dropped back to 15th. Not quite where he was hoping to finish, I'm sure, but it could have been much worse tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
The interesting one
was a sorry, go on.
Just looking at Thomas Searle pitting on lap 6. He's probably timed that pretty nicely, I think. Sitting in 7th at the moment, but should have the fuel to get home, and will pick up at least 1 extra spot. I'd have to think that Chris Lashbrook, currently in 4th, will have to come in and refuel, because he came in on lap 1 as well. But Searle has a great run on at the moment. He's got plenty of pace. He's on track to pick up 1 or 2 extra if he doesn't run too wide there, although that could just be the 7th line through Sunset Bend.
It's here comes Searle on pole indeed, up to 4th place surely now for Thomas Searle. On the inside, he is going to go into turn 1. High speed here through the left-hander, and indeed Searle gets through on the inside line, so it's Corvette 1, 2, 3, 4 now in this race. I can't remember where Searle was before his pit stop, but it does seem that it's worked out okay. He's not got anywhere near McCrone or Davison or indeed Reece Wakefield at the front of the field, but I don't think he's lost anything by pitting that early, and maybe that will be a wake-up call to some of the guys in the field, because the strange thing about this format and the format that doesn't happen anywhere else is that there's a race with a pit stop, and then exactly the same thing happens again, so you can absolutely learn from race 1 and use it in the second race.
I don't know that many of the drivers in the field tonight will take much away from this one, though, honestly. When we think about the absolute schmozzle that we had off the start line, I think most of the drivers that were caught up in that will just be happy to get a clean start next race and try and run the strategy that they were intending to here tonight, maybe. Jeremy Washington now approaching James Foster, looking for a way past. He wants to try and pick up a couple of extra spots in these last couple of laps. Reece Wakefield is back out to 6 seconds in front. So no real change through the pit stops. It's pretty well as it was.
Chris Croak dropped him down the field meantime. Daniel McCrowan has dropped as well. So a couple of incidents in the last couple of moments that's cost McCrowan a podium. Searle is back on the podium here. He was right in front of Davison, Daniel McCrowan, so it's just on the... Oh, he's got a technical failure. His wheels jammed left. His wheels jammed or right even. and he got back control of it again. But if you saw that, maybe on board we'll get a better view, but I saw the wheel there turned, jammed hard right there. And see...
No, I think he's just overcooked the rear. He's trying to save it, but
has he tried to get out of the way for Davison so he doesn't get hit? I don't know.
A bit of both, I suspect. As Washington sends it up the inside of turn 1, he's going to pick up another spot here. But yeah, really unfortunate for McCrowan. I mean, he's still going to finish pretty nicely. He'll be up in 5th. He'll be in the middle of that reverse top 10, so his position won't change too much. But what could have been a podium, just one lap and a half from home effectively, and yeah, unfortunately the rear tyres said no, we've had enough of this pace, thanks.
That looked very strange, honestly, for Daniel McCrowan. This is a good battle though for Washington, trying to get past Foster for 11th. He's not going to get to the reverse top 10 here, Jeremy Washington, but he will be on the back of Reece Wakefield, who will start from 10th place. So that could be an incentive here, as Washington gets a good run now towards Cunningham corner. Outside line, he's not going to get there again. And so Foster keeps 11th in front of Washington, who only has one lap after this one to complete the move. And there's still plenty of fights going on here, even as the final lap of this race looms.
And this is the great thing about a long lap. Right, you've got plenty of opportunities, even if you are leaving it until the final lap to try and take advantage of them. There's still plenty of options as you do get around a track of this length. So it's perhaps not quite as urgent until you get to the last few corners. But Sunset Bend, it produces some really close finishes at times, and some very, very exciting final moments. And I expect we'll see probably more of the same tonight. Mick Polly's had to come in. Mick Polly's in, so just needs to go and get himself perhaps just a little more on board. This could be great news for Jeremy Washington.
Well, that's not though. He's just hit the wall quite hard, and he's got damage. I'm sure of it. It looks like he's got damage to me.
Did he hit the
on
wall,
the front
or did he just hit the bump?
But yeah, maybe it was just the bump. Oh no, there's definitely damage on that car. It can't turn left. It's not turning left at all. Oh, what a disaster, because you're absolutely right. It was a big opportunity for Washington to get into the top 10 and pass Foster, but he's not going to do that now. In fact, he's going to lose places because he can barely turn left, and that is a real shame for Jeremy Washington. He's hit the wall at the final corner, and he's got damage for the second time in this race.
Well, that's one of the more unique commentator curses I think I've managed to put on anyone. I'm sorry, Jeremy. But here we are. I suppose we've had a couple of late incidents that happened in amongst that. Obviously, Daniel McCrowan's Chris Croat went off. Jared Burns had one as well, all on his own, and Sunset Bend just bringing him unstuck, as well as Mitch Curry having another moment. And
I'm amazed he got back in the race.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's managed to make it back in, but have a look at that rear left is, yeah, it's not up to him. There's something that's happened earlier than that, I'm sure, to cause that.
No, I think he's cleared the meatball, but he's tried to come out without the optionals, and that's what it's given him. In the meantime, this is Reece Wakefield coming out of the final turn to win another race in the Easy Motorcycles Pairs GT3 Championship. This time it's race 1 from Sebring, and it's more dominance from Reece Wakefield. Danny Davison will get to second, and Thomas Searle ends up in third place. An early pit stop strategy wasn't the reason for him getting to third in the end, but it was an interesting facet of that race. and he manages to get third. Washington's got to slow down on the way towards the final turn here, and he's got damage as well. Is he going to be able to hang on from Jarrett Burns, Dean Powell and James Doyle, who are all queuing up behind him here through the final corner? I think he's going to be able to hang on. Somehow he manages to finish in 11th as out of fuel for Jarrett Burns. What is going on at the end of this race? Another driver's under field. Burns only just gets to the line in front of Patrick Frame, who very nearly stole that from him as Burns runs out of fuel on the run to the line.
Some close results there. Dan Partouche only missing out by 500ths from Alex Cattle. Dean Powell just staying ahead of James Doyle across the line. But no such close finishes for the front runners. Reece Wakefield just over 8 seconds ahead of Danny Davison, and then another 7 seconds back to Thomas Searle. Danny McCrone still managed to recover a 4th place out of that, which I can't imagine he'll be too upset with, considering what could have been, but also just how far back he may have found himself falling with that crash on that back straight. A pretty reasonable recovery, all things considered.
Absolutely. So that's about it for race number 1. Final drivers are across the line, and I believe everybody has now towards the back end of the field, and it's another victory for Reece Wakefield, the number 1 on his car, and well, at the end of this season he might well be keeping it. If he carries on in this kind of form, he certainly will be, because of the just amount of race victories he's got now to his name. It's been a remarkable season from him so far, but we'll have a look at the race results in a moment and show you where everybody finished up and down the field.
We might actually be waiting on just a couple of drivers still to finish. I think Christian Tachenko is potentially still out there, and Mitch Curry actually might be, who is somehow dragging that rear left, kicking and screaming to the checkered flag. And of course it is an important thing here. You've got to remember that with MC Motorsport, if you don't actually cross the line and see the checkered flag, you don't receive points. So Curry, very, very keen to make sure that he did get some points out of this one tonight.
He gained a place anyway, because he got past Thomas Cool, who was still on pit lane there, and so there's an extra couple of points for him there as well. In any case, meantime, these are the results. Reece Wakefield winning by 8 seconds in front of Danny Davison, who wasn't joined by his teammate in the end after that strange spin from McCrone in the end. That gave Thomas Searle a podium instead. Troy Maguire rounded out the top 5 with Ryan Borg and Liam Jensen all in that group in the end. Michael Whiting was next on his own head of James Sahani, with James Foster rounding out the top 10, therefore on pole for race 2. Jeremy Washington drops to 11th in the end, holding off Dean Powell, James Doyle, and even Jarrett Burns, who ran out of fuel to the line. Patrick Frame couldn't quite get past him. Pat Trappett is next in the next group, ahead of Alex Carroll, Dan Bodgers, Mick Polly and Trent Thomas, who round out the top 20. Chris Croat was just behind them, with Ian Ward and Chris Asbrook, the last drivers, within a minute of the win. Cody Blackman held off Ryan Palmer to the line there, with Scott Stevens behind. Brian East holding off Chris Miller for 27th. James Bunker, the last driver on the lead lap. Christian Tachenko has 1 lap down with Mitch Curry. Thomas Cool 2 laps down, and Chris McVie never took the start of that race. So a 5-minute warm-up session in the meantime, and then we'll be underway again for race 2. And it's James Sohani and James Foster who will be on the front row for race 2. But are we going to see a different result this time around? It does feel a little more unlikely than not, I must say, having seen these first rounds of the season.
Yeah, look, I'm going to be optimistic here and suggest that it's actually going to be really, really tough for Wakefield to find a pass from 10th position. We saw time and time again finding a way through the traffic here was really, really difficult. It's not an easy track to pass on, Sebring. There are a couple of opportunities, sure, but as he'll have the likes of the Team Max Boost drivers and McCrowan and of course Davison ahead of him, or alongside at the very least, I think they're going to make it pretty difficult for Wakefield to get past them to begin with. And then as everyone does settle in, it's just going to get tougher and tougher for Wakefield to find those passes. I mean, he's very quick, there's no doubt about it. And I'm sure he'll manufacture a few passes in places we may not have seen tonight. But there's still the glimmer of hope for a lot of these drivers that they'll be able to defend effectively against him for 20 laps. It's a small glimmer. It's a dull one, but it is there. The main thing they need to do is get away cleanly off the line.
I think the problem is not the difficulty in overtaking, which, you know, I agree. I think it is. I'll say semi-difficult here. You know, it's not impossible, but I think the bigger problem is people realizing and recognizing, probably correctly, but you know, it doesn't make it any more exciting for us, that they probably can't keep him behind for 40 minutes, so they're just going to let him go through. You know, not the, you know, difficulty in overtaking. I don't think that's going to be the biggest factor. I think people actually just letting him go could be a bigger thing here. Because, as I say, it's probably sensible when you've got more than half an hour to go to not engage in a battle with a driver you're probably not going to keep behind anyway, because that doesn't benefit your own interests in this race. So it just needs a mistake from Wakefield. I think it's entirely in his hands as far as I can see, and you know, we'll see how he gets on in these early laps. If he gets knocked back early and he has trouble, then, you know, maybe we've got a race on for the win. But I think if he has another solid start, even makes up 2 or 3 places, not even, you know, setting the world on fire, I think he'll be a strong favourite.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I've got this vague recollection from, we're talking probably season 1 or 2 at this point, I think, of some conversation that was going on in the MC Motorsport Discord around people recognising the pace that Wakefield had, but actually starting to really push him and defend hard against him, because it was exactly that situation. He was so quick in some of the early seasons that people were just getting out of the way because they knew they couldn't keep with his pace. And I believe it might have even been either Ryan Palmer or Josh Harris who, at some point, I vaguely recall a conversation with them where they've decided, no, bugger this, I'm going to make him actually really work for this. I'm going to be an absolute pest for him. And it resulted in some great racing, and I know Reese was actually really enjoying it. So I think he'll be disappointed if people do just decide to get out of his way. But I can totally understand it as someone who quite regularly gets out of the way myself for drivers. I know when I'm holding someone up significantly, and yeah, you do just naturally want to have them off your rear bar, if only for the safety of knowing that they're not going to try something when you're not expecting it.
And these drivers are pretty smart. They know what they're doing in these races. So let's see how they go in the reverse grid race. It's James Foster who will start from the pole ahead of James O'Hany. Michael Whiting and Liam Jensen on row 2 ahead of Ryan Borg and Troy Maguire. Daniel McCrowan will be 7th, bit higher up than he would have liked because of that late spin, of course. Thomas Searle getting a podium in the last race will be 8th, and then Dave Davison reach Wakefield. I'll let the rest scroll through on your screen here and pick out a few notable names, because it is the same race results we just seen. Jeremy Washington obviously from 11th that we want to watch. Trent Thomas was running well throughout that race at stages. He will start from 20th place and a little bit further down. These are the guys who, some of which had trouble in race number 1. Chris Lashbrook, by the way, was the only driver to get a penalty in the first race. 20 seconds for an unsafe rejoin on the opening lap, which halted Brian East in that first race. So that's the only penalty to come through from race number 1. There's still an investigation ongoing into an incident between Ryan Palmer and Thomas Cool, unless it's just not been written down yet by race control. Only 3 reports though, which is a pretty good showing across the board from everybody actually, that there wasn't too much stuff, egregious stuff happening in that race.
Yeah, and I think most of these drivers probably recognise that the race start was just unavoidable. Cars bouncing into each other. The initial incident wasn't great, but it also wasn't, you know, anything malicious. And unfortunately, once it starts, where you've got walls either side that just direct the cars back into the traffic, you're gonna get that happen. So I'm glad to hear that the drivers saw that for what it was and didn't rush a flurry of reports and have race control tied up reviewing and basically saying no further action, because I think that's what it probably would have been had that happened.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure they were pretty busy at the start, race control with the safety car and all. Let's see how we go in race 2 though, as we get ready for the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship reverse grid race from Sebring. And we are underway with a good launch from Foster, as is so often the case with the Porsche. Fanning out in the background, but everybody's underway cleanly this time, which is good news, especially for those back in the back of the pack. In towards turn number 1 then. Wakefield takes it very calmly on the outside. Look at that. Doesn't really try and overtake anybody. A spin in the background meantime. And that's Jared Burns who's gone around. Trent Thomas was making contact with him. That was just at the bottom end of the top 20 there through turn number 1 as those two went off. But out front, James Foster leads in front of James Sohani. It's a good start from the leaders, in fact. Reece Wakefield hasn't gone anywhere. In fact, Jeremy Washington's gone in front of him for 10th place.
Well, that's not quite the start I was expecting from Wakefield, although he's now looking to clean that up around the outside and takes Washington. Now he's starting to get on the move. What have we got in the background there?
Another spin. Cody Blackman, oh no, and joining in, Brian East goes for a spin. I think Chris Croat must have made contact with Cody Blackman there. Stevens comes to a stop to avoid it all as well. It's more trouble down at the hairpin. Thankfully, we haven't seen the big pile up and we shouldn't get a safety car from this opening lap this time. Oh dear, wow, that's another commentator's curse this evening. So what's gone on here? There must still be, I think Alex Cattle has had trouble here on the opening lap as well, that I didn't comment on before. And he might be the reason, because I didn't see any big damage for anybody else, but I also didn't see Cattle anywhere, so that might be, yeah, he has got very big damage here, and he actually can't turn at all.
Well, that'll do it. I wonder where he's picked that up. There's no sign of any particular incident for Cattle, so it must have been a fairly high speed one. If nothing else, but I'll see what I can find, and we'll try and track it down, because he's picked that damage up somewhere here, and it might have been right off the start even.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I wonder if it would be worth just to watch from his point of view from the start to see how he got on, because it does seem that it came very early on in the lap. Now, this is the run down towards turn 1, so was he the one who... it's just in front of him where the contact was with Trent Thomas on the outside, so and Jared Burns, so gets away with that. Then they stack up into turn 3 as normal. Nearly gets hit by the Corvette, but that's fine. Then into turn 5, he is tipped by the Ferrari and then hit. Well, that's not a big hit, to be fair, so he's pretty unlucky, I think, to get that amount of damage.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like I think that might have been Chris Miller, by the looks of things in the Fisher Motorsport Corvette. I think it's just that, yeah, unfortunately for Alex Cattle, he had the wheel turned, and so when the contact's been made, it's been made pretty directly with the leading edge of that wheel, and it's done significant suspension damage as a result.
Yeah, indeed. And that is a real shame, because it's dropped him all the way down to the back end of the field. Now, if we're expecting, let's just see what happened to Trent Thomas and Jared Burns before I get to that. Burns is already spinning, sorry. I thought Thomas had actually hit him, but I hadn't seen the start of that, clearly. I wasn't looking. So who hits Burns here?
Bit of a nudge from Mick Poley on the inside.
Poley, yeah, in the 911. So we'll see who gets in trouble for that a little bit later on, but that's how Burns got into the outside, and he has come into pit lane as well. So did Chris Miller, as he said. Mick Poley has also been in there. So has Cody Blackman, who spun down at the hairpin, by the way. That was the final of the lap 1 incidents we saw here for the start of race 2.
I think that might have even been kicked off by Ian Ward, and potentially we'll try and get a bit of it's already happened by the time they get there. So it's Mick Poley and Chris Croat who have started that off in the hairpin. So Poley turns in, Croat's up the inside there, contact with Poley spins him around, then they end up nose to nose, and you just get that concertina behind as everyone tries to check up and get out of the way. But yeah, not the ideal spot for cars to come together and end up stopped on track. And what we saw there from my count was Ian Ward involved, Chris Miller, Brian East was in there, Christian Shevchenko got caught up in it, Jared Burns again, Trent Thomas again. So yeah, it's just really unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. And That has given us another safety car on lap number 1. Now, what I was going to say was, how is this going to affect the rest of the race as far as the race win is concerned? Because if this safety car runs as long as it did last time, there will be 17 laps to go when we get back going again at the next green flag lap, if indeed this runs to full. Although everybody's in the... Alex Cattle actually isn't quite in the queue just yet, and he is a lap down as well, so I wonder whether he'll be giving his lap back. But anyway, at least lap 3, if not later, for this restart. 17 laps to go. Does that help the leaders here keep Wakefield behind, or does it sort of set them all up like ducks in a row here for Wakefield to knock down one by one once we get back going again here?
Well, I think, you know, we were talking about the opening race being a great practice round almost for the second race, and an opportunity to see what might work and what might not. And I did speculate that, you know, they wouldn't learn much from the opening one. How wrong I was. I think what we've seen...
Exactly the same.
It's exactly the same. And what we've already seen is that none of these drivers are coming into the pits for an early stop this time around. We've had a few drivers go in for damage repairs. Miller, Burns, Polly and Blackman down the back, as well as Alex Cattle getting some repair work done. But Brian East is coming in, and I imagine he's going to have some damage to repair. But we're not seeing anyone really making their way into the pit lane to take on any fuel, because it just doesn't make sense to.
Yeah. As you say, they have actually, as it turned out in a weird way, learned from race number 1 now, and they learned that it just isn't possible to get to the end from where they were hoping here today. So, yeah, that's it's going to be safety cars in this lap indeed. So Cattle has caught up to the back end of the field. Although there are some... Patrick Frame has actually dropped down now. He's actually disconnected completely. So he drops down. Blackman and Brian East come into the pit lane meantime, maybe for a bit more damage repair for them. But in any case, the field is going to start to weave now and get themselves ready to go once again here. From what we saw in race 1 then, the pit window is going to open in about 3 laps, because Thomas Searle came in on lap 6 last time. Wonder how many will have learned now, given that this is exactly the same race. Will they have learned from Thomas Searle, or take his advice that maybe an early pit stop here, an ultra early pit stop, is the way forward in this second race?
Well, potentially, and you know, there's a bit of fuel saving to happen here, of course, under the safety car. So maybe a little bit later on, maybe lap 7, lap 8, but you know, an opportunity for these drivers to think about getting themselves out of traffic even, and use their pit stop for that. They know that there's no point in pitting in right now, as we see the rest of the field making their way through the hairpin. I don't think there's going to be quite as much variance in pit stops this time around. I don't think we'll see as many of these drivers actually run the full opening stint. I think there'll be some that elect to come in, and probably a few more than we saw last time, come in early and make the second stint the longer one, and hope for another safety car. Right? That's probably a reasonable guesstimate at this point as to how this is going to run from here. But the important one at the moment, I think, is to note that Reece Wakefield, so far, still in 10th.
Yeah, well, true. And he did lose a place initially on the start as well to Jeremy Washington. So he's not a driver you'd want to have behind you if you want to look forward. Jeremy Washington is someone you might have to defend from. So this could be a tricky restart for Wakefield. I think relying on a safety car later, to be honest, is a very full-on hope. It's so unlikely as far as I can see. When this race spreads out, when we have this single-file restart, at least last time round, it was very, very calm indeed. And I can only expect similar here. Patrick Frame is back in the race, by the way, after the disconnection. He's back going again. He's only just going to get out, and thankfully he's only just going to get out of the pit lane now, so that he can not be in the way of everybody coming down towards turn 1 here. He's back on the racetrack right now, and he's still on the lead lap, remarkably, but he's a long way back. So, oh dear, meantime, in the background, look at that. There's all sorts of people just... driving up. James Bunker, I think, was the first to just have to really turn hard right there and avoid a concertina effect. Everybody trying to guess the jump here. Of course, there's no learnings from the previous race as far as this part's concerned, because this was controlled by Reece Wakefield last time. James Foster is in control of the field this time round, so they don't know quite what to expect, and they very nearly hit each other down the back end of the field there. Out of the final corner, though, through Sunset Bend, what does Foster do here? With Sohani waiting patiently at the moment. Whiting there in third place, Jensen fourth, and then Ryan Borg in fifth place. Thomas Searle sixth. Six manufacturers inside the top six, and Foster leads them all out over the start finish line. He waits quite a long time before getting going here. Ryan Borg getting all over the back of Jensen immediately, down in towards turn number one. He's on the outside in the Porsche. He's not going to be able to get through. Wakefield can't get down the inside of Davison yet either, in towards turn number one, but Jensen does get the exit. He's on Whiting there, side by side here, with Whiting and Jensen through the opening sector. This is where a bit of a break can form itself in the field here as Foster and Sohani move forward. Tony Davison, meantime, drops all the way down the field outside the top 10.
Yeah, just looks like a bit of an off-track. Don't think there's much in it, but you know, an off-track after a safety car restart, you're going to be falling all the way down through the field as we see Whiting charge up the inside. Bit of contact there with the back of Ryan Borg, but he gets ahead of Thomas Searle. At what cost, though, to that front bar? I wonder if that's going to come back to haunt him a little later on as we get a beautiful low shot of these guys streaming on through, and they're starting to get themselves sorted out, but not too far back from this group. Troy Maguire, the other Fish Motorsports entry, getting in amongst it, and then look at this, Mick Polly still mixing it up. He's in there with Jared Burns, just ahead of them, Scott Stevens and Chris Croat. We've got smoke, we've got someone off in the background. It looks like it's Chris Croat.
Yeah. Croat's got off. Baltush is dropping as well here. Oh, there's trouble. Three into the fence at Tower Corner. Head on into the concrete wall. Mick Poley, Christian Tachenko and Dan Baltush are all in the fence. And it might be a second safety car of this race. It might well be. That is a big hit down, especially for Baltush there, who's hit the unprotected concrete on the left-hand side there towards Tower Corner. And he's got a meatball flag as well. Are we going to see another safety car here? Or are we going to get away with it with three in the fence through the final turn?
It does look like they've all been allowed to tow, and they're far enough off the track that's a pretty reasonable call from race control, I think. It would have been almost a little too painful to have another couple laps of safety car so soon after for an incident that, although it was relatively serious, was well off the racing line by the time they finally made it to the fence.
Well, we'll try and get a replay in a moment once things have calmed down here just a moment. But and also of Davison, actually, who is where has he got to now? He's still I can't actually see him anymore. Oh, he's out. Sorry, he's out. He's retired. So I think it was more than a bit of an off track, actually.
You're actually right. There was an initial off track. I believe, but I don't know whether that's necessarily what's caused it, as we see Liam Jensen send it up the inside. James Selhani a little bit of a touch on the way out, but close that up. Look at the background. Ryan Borg throws the Porsche up and over the curb onto the grass. He is very, very keen to get moving. Keeping an eye on Reece Wakefield. He's up 2 spots so far, but nothing further just yet.
Wakefield again, side by side with Daniel McCrowan this time round. McCrowan going to try and hold him back as best he can, but Wakefield through on him as well. So up to 7th place. This is not as efficient as we've seen from Wakefield in previous weeks. So there is still absolutely hope for James Foster, who's running away at the front of this field. 15 laps to go at the end of this race, but Wakefield has got to still be favourite. He's already passed a lot of his main contenders. Davison's already out, but Crowan has now been dispatched off. Jeremy Washington's still behind him. So Wakefield has got the main contenders behind him, but he's still got overtakes to make.
And the thing is, if he times the pit stop, well, bit wide there from Wakefield. I'm not quite sure what happened on the exit. If he times his pit stop right and gets a clear track ahead of him, we know how quick he is once he gets out from this traffic. That's going to be the real danger point for a lot of these drivers who are trying to just hold him at bay a little bit here if they can. Mitch Curry up the inside of Dean Power into Sunset Bend. Chris Lashbrook coming through behind as well. Curry makes the pass look easy. And a very big hello to a good friend of Simple Racing Broadcast. Been a little while since we saw you around, Spud. Nicholas Patasso is in the chat, checking out the GT3 Championship action. And I hope you're enjoying it as much as we are. And yeah, maybe one day we'll get you in the booth again sometime soon. Look at this, a move now from Cody Blackman on the way into turn 1. Scott Stevens finds himself on the outside. Blackman's going to get this fairly easily. Stevens, no answer to that one, although he's going to think about a bit of a shot at this as we get down towards the 2-3 chicane, and indeed get to nose back in front. They're going to go side by side through one of the more technical sections of track here at Sebring, and he's just managed to reclaim that spot. Beautiful bit of driving from Scott Stevens.
Blackman not done yet either. Comes out of turn 5 on the outside through Big Bend, and he's going to get his nose back in front again for 22nd, and now does finally get through properly. James Bunker spun just in front of them meantime. Wonder whether there was contact there or whether that was on his own. Looks like from the way he's positioned it was on his own, but let's see. He's going to drop a long way down. Oh, I might be wrong. And the iRacing replay will tell all again on the inside. Oh, it was like the first time. He was
just up and over the curves.
He was side by side with somebody, but as you say, it was up and over the curves on the inside line. So a lot happening on this restart here in these last couple of moments.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a good opportunity for us to go back and take a look at some of the earlier incidents, but there just hasn't been a break in this action so far. And the restart has really livened things up here. It's been a real change in approach from a lot of these drivers. You know, we're not seeing those early pit stops. People aren't thinking about fuel saving. They're actually thinking about a full race pace run now to just try and stay ahead of the likes of Wakefield. And so far Reese Wakefield really struggling. Look at Ryan Borg using every inch of this track to try and get past Thomas Searle here. Searle's still got the extra pace, so Borg moves across, drops him behind. Here comes Wakefield now, immediately behind, so he's picked up another spot, passes Michael Whiting, up into 6th now.
Yeah, indeed. Wakefield is got quite a queue behind him, so he's got to keep moving forward, otherwise it could start to go the other way. Same goes for anybody actually in this group really, given that it is so close all the way throughout here. James Foster is being caught by Liam Jensen out front, by the way, so there is going to be a battle for the lead here quite soon, I would suggest. Foster's actually caught behind a bit of lap traffic at the moment as well, down in towards the hairpin. Curry and Trappett are side by side just in the background, you might have seen, and that is who's going to Trappett, who's going to come out with that position here. But yeah, this is closing for the race lead here. Foster has got to dispatch of that lap car pretty quickly here, but in any case, Jensen looks quicker, and his homing interview, look at this is really hurting Foster now.
As finally finds a way through, Christian Chashenko a long way back, first of the cars to get lapped here in race 2, if I'm not mistaken, although, you know, fair play for Mick Poley, Dave Davison and Dan Bartouche, but in terms of cars still on track at full pace, he's probably the first one to get picked off here, and we'll have a succession of cars looking to do the same. So maybe an opportunity here for Foster to extend the lead if the rest of this crew get caught up. I'll be interested to see, and the good thing is, coming down the straight, an opportunity for Kachenko to potentially, you know, move over and let this happen. It doesn't look like he's going to. He's getting a flash of lights from Salhani. So he's going to continue on, and they're going to have to work for this, although he does go much wider through Sunset to allow them the inside line to the apex, which is a very courteous thing to do.
Indeed. He's now he's dropped himself right in the middle of it, to be fair, right in front of Borg in the group, and now he's pulling wide out of turn 1 as well. Into turn 1, oh, whoa, God, that was close.
I don't know how
so nearly hit
Salhani.
Salhani. And that would have killed Sohani, to be honest. That would have absolutely killed him, because turn 1 there, you're so on the limit anyway that the slightest bit of contact would have really hurt him there. So yeah, that's a good job they avoided that. Wakefield still behind Borg here, very close. He's got past Tachenko here, but Whiting wasn't so lucky. Tachenko is sort of, oh dear, and he's now, oh dear, he doesn't quite know what he's doing at the moment, Tachenko. Searle is down the inside of Sohani meantime. Tachenko still can't get out of the way. Oh goodness me, and that has cost Whiting 2 places. McCrowan and Washington both get through. He'll be absolutely furious with Christian Tachenko. Oh, there's contact for Sohani, who's off now. Down in towards Cunningham corner. He goes wide. Searle will go through. Borg follows through. And Reese Wakefield gets a free place as well. That was contact down in towards Cunningham as well, as the intensity of this race just ramps up towards half distance.
I wonder how much the presence of Tkachenko in amongst this group has just brought on a little bit of frustration and people starting to really, throw elbows to try and catch up to the couple out in front. Foster and Jensen now with a very healthy couple of seconds up their sleeve to Thomas Searle here, and that's just going to continue. Ryan Palmer now looks to the inside of James Doyle. Doyle's got the better bead out of the corner, so Palmer will have to set up for another look at that further on. But this group is still so compressed after that safety car, and really only Foster and Jensen who have managed to get away from it.
But I absolutely think that's a theory that is correct, by the way. I think that really has thrown a bit of a virtual grenade in this group, and it's sort of exploded everybody everywhere. And here comes Reece Wakefield benefiting from it. Borg set his personal best last time round, but Jensen was fastest overall. That was the actual fastest lap of the race from anybody for Liam Jensen, who's now on the back of James Foster as well. So this is just very, very intense now in this middle stage of the race, and Wakefield hits Borg there. Goodness me, he's trying to get to the inside of turn 5. He's got to be careful of that. If he wants to keep these race wins going, he can't afford a penalty, because if he does get to the race lead, his winning margin will not be very large, so he can't afford penalties, as he might have been able to do in the first race. Outside there is not going to work for Borg. Luckily, he's got quite a gap to Sohani, so he can run that wide and not be punished for it.
Borg is defending incredibly hard to try and hold Wakefield at bay. Thomas Searle is starting to gather a bit of breathing room here. Borg's doing a great job of holding Wakefield up at the moment, and this is what I love to see. Borg look reasonably quick, probably not Reece Wakefield quick, but if you know where to place a car and you're prepared to commit to that defence and not back out of it, you are going to make it very, very difficult for anyone to get past you. And Ryan Borg making that Porsche as wide as he possibly can right now.
He certainly is. And he needs to, if he wants to finish in the top 5 here, because there's a lot of drivers who you'd argue are probably faster than him in a GT3 who are queuing up behind at the moment. Wakefield is certainly one of them. So Harney is next, and then Macron, Washington, and you get to the bigger gaps here. Whiting has never really recovered from losing those positions in quick succession. Jensen gets down the inside of Foster into the final turn, and he gets into the lead now. So I think Liam Jensen has got an unprecedented chance now to win this race with 11 laps to go. Wakefield still buried in traffic, and he's a few seconds behind Jensen anyway.
Yeah, I wonder what the pit stops are going to bring here. That'll be an interesting turn of events, I suspect, and Wakefield will probably look for an opportunity to get himself some clear. He's really pushing hard up the inside of Borg. He desperately wants to get through here and try and catch up to Jensen, Foster and Searle, who are starting to group up ahead. There's not much in it, but with Borg in front and defending the way that he is, that may as well be the Pacific Ocean between them at this point.
Yeah, that was very Australian of you.
Look,
I didn't quite understand what you were talking about.
I could have gone with the channel for you, Ewan. Maybe that would have been the better one.
That wouldn't be a very big gap, really, because people swim across the channel. You can't swim across the Pacific Ocean, as far as I'm aware. There we go. Anyway, Reece Wakefield on the back of Ryan Borg. Will not get through into Cunningham, and it just has calmed down. It amazes me, by the way, how Sohani is still sixth after what we saw there. I thought when we initially saw Sohani door-to-door making side-to-side contact, 2 wheels on the grass as he got on the brakes for turn 10, I thought he was going to go straight on, to be honest, and drop a long way down. The fact he's still in 6th place is pretty remarkable.
It is. It really is. We might take a moment to have a look back at a few of the earlier incidents.
Probably the best chance.
Yeah, it's the best chance we're going to have for a while, I think. And as soon as we look away, I guarantee Wakefield's going to get through. But we'll come back and we'll take a look at that if we need to. Danny Davison is the one I'm interested in to see just what happened for him. The IRAP Designs replay, he's already copped a lot of damage at this point. Like that car is crabbing massively. And I think it's from the off-track just about 5 seconds earlier. No, even further back than that. He's actually had a few off tracks in quick succession. We might have to go back a little further, and there it is, big spin into 2-3, and look at the damage at the rear end. It's the second Corvette we've seen get all sorts of crabbed up after Mitch Curry in race 1.
It's all that contact there, all on one corner, which has which is odds in. We'll have a bit of a break from the replays just for a moment because Wakefield is trying to get past Borg
this
here.
might be it.
Down the inside into turn 3. He's got there, but Borg is not going to give him too much room. Only just enough. Now is Wakefield going to return the favour through turn 5? He certainly will do. Oh, he squeezes Borg though. That was very tight. Now Sohani's got the choice. Does he go 3 wide? Does he wait in behind? Does he just try and see who wins in this fight and follow them through? He's going to follow in Borg. He's going to put his eggs in that basket in towards turn 7. Wakefield's on the outside. Is this going to turn bad for the championship leader? No, he won't. He'll tuck back in. Sohani's next in line. Then Daniel McCrowan, who is trying to capitalise on all of this as well, as he gets towards Cunningham Corner with an opportunity. He follows Wakefield. They both make the same move on different drivers. Wakefield not quite as far alongside Borg as McCrowan is on Sohani, but I don't think either of them are going to get through. Wakefield's going to be pushed all the way to the line. He's just about still there through Collier, and that gives him the inside of Tower Corner, and finally he's up to 4th place.
Well, what did that take? 5-6 corners to get that move done. Wakefield just stuck alongside Borg, to his credit, did an immense job of trying to hold Wakefield off and to stay in that battle, but in the end just the corners caught up with him and Borg found himself on the outside of just one too many. Wakefield's probably been planning that move for about 3 or 4 laps, I reckon, and now he'll look to close the gap in front. Let's wait and see just how well the rest of this train can stick with Wakefield now, because Borg needs to really get the foot down and not let him get away. Salhani, McCrowan, Jeremy Washington behind won't want to get held up here either.
No, indeed. Oh, dear me, look at this. Outside for McCrowan here on Sohani, who's also trying to get to the outside of Borg, and they're all trying to outdo each other. Washington comes in, and I think that's a smart choice. To be honest, I'm surprised nobody has done it so far from this group, because it's so, just so much battling happening in this group at the moment. Outside for Sohani. On Borg here, and he's going to go right round. Look at that, great move from James Sohani to get back up into 5th place. That's down at where he started, of course, but this is the reverse good race, so that is to be expected. Through he goes and up into the top 5. Meantime, Foster and Searle fight it out. Thomas Searle's got a decent chance in this race, although Liam Jensen's got a big lead now. I'm not even sure Reece Wakefield can close that margin. Is he going to switch to the other side here? Oh, no, he's not so. He looked like he was going to go from one side, then the other, but no, not quite. Borg down the inside of Sohani again. It's relentless at the moment. In this race, there's contact. Oh, they survive again. Oh, how have we got away with it so many times here tonight? I'm not sure. McCrowan gets through, though. Borg keeps his place. McCrowan gets through, as I say. Then Troy Maguire gets through as well. He's popped out here in the Mustang, and Sohani's going to try and retake that place immediately from him. Down in towards Cunningham Corner. Whiting and Doyle are the ones next in line as well. A remarkable group, a remarkable battle, with still 8 laps of it to go and pit stops to come all round here.
This is one of the most aggressive racing examples that I think we've seen all season. These drivers throwing these cars side to side, using up every bit of track, reacting to other drivers' moves ahead of them. I don't think we've seen this much crossing over of racing lines through turns and in the braking zones anywhere else in the last few seasons. These guys are pushing super hard to try and pick something up here if they can. James Foster and Thomas Searle still battling it out. Foster is defending hard. Searle's going out wide to try and pick something up here through Sunset Bend. Foster's going to stay in tight. Here comes Reece Wakefield. He's opened up almost 3 seconds now on Ryan Borg. So Wakefield really closing in and starting to get away. Troy Maguire.
Oh my word, he saved it. And he doesn't end up in the pit lane either, like Thomas Cool did in the previous race. But side by side to turn 1 again for Borg and McCrowan. Even though the rest of them have left them in this group, they are still fighting it out here. McCrowan on the inside, surely he's going to get 5th now though. And there he goes. Yep, he slips through. So into 5th. Meantime, Wakefield has caught that group for 2nd place. Searle getting through on Foster just at the right time here. As meantime, further behind, speaking of Thomas Cool, he's trying to get past James Bunker for 21st. This has been one of the most exciting races we've seen this season, I think. Can't remember much better than this so far, as Borg and McCrowan go again here. McCrowan on the inside. Oh, I thought he'd have this done by now, but still he can't get Ryan Borg behind him.
The amount of contact, the door-to-door racing, the panel rubs and the absolute door bashing we're seeing, I'd expect this in supercars. I don't think I've seen anyone throw GT3 cars around quite this heavily in a very, very long time. But these guys are using everything they've got to just try and give themselves a little bit more space, a little bit more pace to the apex and on the way back out. Ryan Ball gets squeezed all the way off the track there by McCrowan, and James Alhani in the background. I think almost a sympathetic flash of lights, or maybe even a "Hey guys, keep going. I'd love to pick up both your spots."
Well, yes, I would think. I think that is the case. Although it finally now may well just reach a bit of a reprieve. Having said that, the pit stops are about to happen, and Reece Wakefield is only 4 seconds off the race lead at the moment, trying to retake third place, or take third place for the first time, I should say. James Foster led this race for some laps here, but unfortunately it's not even going to be a podium for him tonight. It's a valiant effort though, and there's no reason why he can't hold on to fourth here with the 4-second gap back to the next group, and some pit stops to come, and they're fighting as well. So I think his chances of being fourth are pretty good, which would be a solid result.
It absolutely will be. We've got plenty going on elsewhere as well. Brian East and Chris Miller side by side down the back straight as Miller gets through and to Sunset and shuts the door very abruptly in Brian East's face. Pat Trappett's getting caught up with Mitch Curry once again, with Dean Power not too far off the back. This might be the first momentary breath that we get as everyone starts to think about making that pit stop. It should be coming for most of these drivers now. I do want to go back and take another quick look at the incident that saw both Bartush and Poli off the track and in quite some trouble. I think there might have been a little bit of contact here. So Chris Croak goes off, and then the three of them here, what happens? Mick Poli around the outside, contact with Kachenko. Kachenko getting caught up in it. And that's what's put Poli and Bartush off.
That's right. So also what's happening here, is Dan Bartush had a previous incident that he'd already sort of been slow from, and that's why Poli is diving through the middle of a 3 wide there, and then misjudging it and hitting Tachenko, which takes them both into Bartush and all three of them into the concrete wall. So there is something separate going on there for Dan Bartush, which slowed him down. Unfortunately, Bartush is out of this race, and so is Mick Poli now, which is a shame. Tony Davison, the other retirement, but still 29 in the field here from the 32 starters in this second race.
And I've got to say, Kachenko getting caught in the middle of that group really did introduce a whole other element of confusion and chaos. Oh, a big moment for Reece Wakefield. The bumps at Sebring bringing him just a little unstuck, and I think that might be the first mistake we've seen from him all season.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that is a very rare event indeed. I'm surprised he didn't cut his losses by coming in pit lane. Maybe it would have been a bit tight, but
I wonder if that's where he's trying to go.
Well, yeah.
It's really unusual for him to be out so wide there. Just looking to see if there's anything else that flags, but I don't think so. It's just a bit of a moment, maybe even just a quick lapse of concentration, or just a little bit too much brake pressure as he trailed it in, and it's just a bit unsettled on those bumps. Again, this is Sebring. This is what we get when we come here. We get bumpy roads, no matter where you look, and that can be all it takes sometimes. Now, the paddles resume immediately as everyone comes out of the pits. But have a look at this: black flags for Foster, Salhani, and Borg. Did they all get done speeding in pits? That's the question.
There's no way they. Well, I mean. Well, I suppose there is a way, but how? Oh no, off! That is Trappett off the road. Oh dear, and that's bad damage. Very bad damage there.
That is a meatball. He's not going to drive that home, surely.
No, he's not. No, he wouldn't be able to push that anywhere. So yeah, that's unfortunately going to be a tow back to pit lane. Side by side, Jensen gets back in front of Miller. Well, let's see. Before I say that too defensively, down the inside for Miller again into Tower, and he'll get 7th place. Chris Miller in front of Liam Jensen. So this is trouble now for Liam Jensen, because the more he battles here, the more opportunities for Thomas Searle and Reece Wakefield to get back to Jensen that start to arise. And Searle comes in this time, so he's gone from one extreme to the other, from the early stop of the previous race to the shorter stop of the longer run side to begin this one.
I'm really trying to work out what's happened for Foster, Salhani and Borg to all have black flags at once. And the only thing I can come up with is that they've hit the incident point limit. I'm not seeing any flags issued by race control. So those are all three of those are iRacing black flags. Whether they are for pit speed infractions or incident counts, in any case, that's gonna count all three of those drivers who have been having such a good run until this point, well out of this race for the night.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, still to stop, Daniel McCrowan at the front of the field. Probably Chris Miller as well from fourth in this group, as well as Brian East. Ryan Palmer came in on lap 9, and we've not been focusing on him at all, but I think he's played an absolute masterclass here. He pitted from the back of the really large group earlier on lap 9, as I say. He's now 7th overall. He's going to be 5th, unless McCrowan gets ahead of him, in which case he'll be 6th. But that is a masterstroke from Palmer, isn't it? We're not seeing him pretty much at all here, and he's come out ahead of a lot of the guys we've been seeing in the big fight.
And when you're watching this back ride, isn't it amazing what you can do when you keep your nose clean, my friend? It's, he's just stayed out of the way of all of the trouble that's been going on, giving himself some clean air with that early stop. And yeah, it's not going to result in a podium, I don't imagine. But it won't be far off, and it'll be a really, really solid result. It's just a shame he had to put that livery on for
it. Well, I don't know. Anyway,
different strokes.
I won't comment.
Different strokes.
Yeah. Jensen still stuck behind Miller, by the way, as McCrowan comes into the pit lane now as well. So let's see where all these guys go. Why is Jensen behind Wakefield and Searle here? Have I missed something? Because Jensen was leading this race by over 2 seconds, nearly 3. He got stuck behind Miller, yes, but have I missed something here? What's happened to him?
So Jensen came in on lap 14 and spent 12.5 seconds in the bay.
Yeah.
Very, very long stop, 43 seconds end to end in the pits. By comparison, Thomas Searle, 37.8, Reece Wakefield, 39.9, Daniel McCrowan, 39.6. So he's spent a good 3 or 4 seconds extra in the pits for some reason. Now, maybe he's been carrying damage that we just didn't see from all of the panel rubbing that happened, and he's decided to stick around and take the extra hit in the hope of getting that extra little boost of speed to finish off his race here tonight. But yeah, unfortunately, it's cost him quite a bit in terms of track position.
Yeah, you're right. That is the whole reason for Liam Jensen. Apologies for missing that. The side.
No,
so Hardy's
it's
all
unusual.
The way. Yeah, it is unusual. Yeah, so Hardy all the way down in 20th. So is Foster in 19th. So these guys must have served their penalty then and drove through the pit lane. I mean, how did they all do it at the same time? It's remarkable to me, really. But there you go. They're now fighting for 19th, unfortunately, for these two. After qualifying, or indeed starting this race on the front row, they are 19th and 20th now. In this race, Foster just slips through in front of Sohani and stays in front. This could be quite a good fight between these two to the end of the race, although it's not for a top position anymore.
No, it's not. But there's still some good battles regardless. Ryan Borg and Cody Blackman side by side in the Porsches as well, so 21st and 22nd being hotly contested. The front group really spread out, and Thomas Searle he's looking on track here to actually hold Wakefield at bay. It's 2.5 seconds doesn't sound like a huge amount, but Wakefield's going to have to really work to reel that back in just a few laps. Daniel McCrowan, meanwhile, has gotten himself clear of Jeremy Washington, so he should be feeling fairly comfortable for the moment. I want to have a look at this and see if maybe there was some sort of collision on the way into or out of pit lane that just happened to Danny McCrowan on the way through Sunset just gets loose, and unfortunately he's given that up to not only Jeremy Washington but also Ryan Palmer sneaks through as well. And look at this, unsafe pit exit 131, 188 and 114. Guess who that is?
Right.
So
yeah, there we go.
That's the pit exit. Which tells me where we can start to look. Let's go back and take a look at James Foster in the App Designs replay. Comes into the pit bays. Let's see if we can pick this up on the way out and see what's happened. I reckon all three of them come out side by side and no one's given an inch, and so they've all collided, and it's somehow managed to trigger a triple black flag.
I think that, well, let's see here. Let's see.
There's Foster, there's Selhani, there's Borg behind.
Foster hits the cone there, so he's done it unsafely, and then the others have just followed where the cones were, and that has meant they have got an unsafe pit exit. So the first driver's the culprit there in Foster, in a sense that he's hit the cone and he's cleared the path for the others, but nevertheless the line's still there and you've got to obey by that, and that's the unsafe pit exit, because this is a strange pit exit here and it does put you in a dangerous position if you do it unsafely. There has also been huge news at the front of the race as Thomas Searle drops down the back of the field. Jeremy Washington does too. They are both now paving the way for Reese Wakefield to lead this race once again, this time with only 2 laps to go, to be fair, but he's in the lead again and he might well be on his way to another reverse grid race victory just after Thomas Searle was in the lead and yeah, well, looking like he was going to win here. Let's see what happened. It's a bit of oversteer into turn 1, slides and spins, and he eventually avoids the wall. Now what happens here as he rejoins? Oh no! He's rejoined straight into Washington, and that is a terrible rejoin for Thomas Searle. He's trying to rejoin as quickly as possible after losing his race lead, but unfortunately you cannot rejoin like that, and Jeremy Washington was on the scene there helpless, and they've hit each other. Meantime, these two have hit each other as well. Team powered Thomas Cool for 9th place.
Wow, that's devastating for Washington. Full noise, had nowhere to go, comes around the corner and Thomas Searle's in front of him. Great news for Reese Wakefield. I will bet money that when we speak to him in just a few minutes' time that he's going to tell us that's not how he wanted to win this one. He would have hated to see that Searle had gone off track like that. But, you know, one of those things, the rejoin left Jeremy Washington. Really, really disappointing, but these things do happen, and Ryan Borg goes around.
There be, what's happening? They've all gone mad in this race. Dear me, I'm not really seeing anything like it this season. Anyway,
Sebring delivers.
Yeah,
every time.
Yeah. Spent too much time in Florida beforehand, I suppose. Anyway, Palmer third, just in front of McCrowan here. I think this is one of the drivers of the season from Ryan Palmer. Not just an individual result, but from anybody, because we barely spoke about him before these pit stops had actually unwinded themselves here. And Palmer has got himself unwinded into 3rd position in front of McCrowan. I mean, extraordinary really, and a masterstroke in terms of how you can make a pit stop and at the right time, and with the battles happening around you, you can get up into 3rd place. 25th was his starting position. I'm absolutely sure he can make it to the end because he pitted on lap 9, so this is just a great performance from Ryan Palmer, and I really hope he can hold on to the podium, to be honest. All respect to Danny McCrowan, who's only got 1 more lap to try and get this podium, but I think Palmer absolutely deserves this. He's got a big lap ahead of him though to hold on.
McCrowan is pushing hard and he's got some extra pace out of Sunset Bend. Palmer's going to find himself on the inside now. We've seen Ryan Palmer defend hard before. We haven't seen him up against McCrowan, but he absolutely knows how to position a car to make it very, very difficult. A late move to the inside to defend there. He almost gave that away to McCrowan. He's going to have to really think about the car positioning throughout this entire lap. We'll stick with this one. Reese Wakefield, 3 seconds ahead of Liam Jensen, has his sealer. McCrowan's gone around. That'll be it for Palmer. Palmer will take the podium.
That is it. That is it. Palmer's going to be on the podium here, barring a post-race penalty. Daniel McCrowan, in the end, is going to be finishing lower than where he started in this reverse grid race. That's a disaster for him in 8th. It's another great day for Reese Wakefield as far as race wins are concerned, but also McCrowan is one of the closer championship contenders, and that is only going to extend Wakefield's lead further.
Still a couple of close battles going on. This one for 10th, Dean Powell leading Jared Burns and Chris Lashbrook. There's not a lot in it, but I don't know if anyone's got anything left to give at this very, very late stage of the race. Michael Whiting might have a bit of challenge from Doyle, but seems unlikely as we get towards the end of this race. I think it's probably just going to be this one to keep an eye on now. Everyone else is pretty well settled in. Reese Wakefield, 3.5 seconds. Not quite the difference we saw in race 1. But considering everything that's happened in race 2, he's not going to be disappointed with it.
Absolutely. Well, let's see if this changes towards the line there. We'll get back to that in a second, but Reach Wakefield comes through the final corner now, and he will win again in the Easy Motorcycle Spares GT3 Championship, this time from Sebring. He wins both races, and it's the reverse grid race that he takes with the most drama. Jensen in the end took too long of a pit stop there, and he drops to second, and the drive of the day, drive of the season, goes to Ryan Palmer, who gains 22 places from 25th. A well-timed pit stop, and he finishes in third.
Full credit to Mitch Curry as well. Comes home in 7th, up 24 positions. Thomas Kuhl home in 9th, up 23 positions. As McCrohan comes on into the pits. Across the line, no change. Dean Power, Jared Burns, Chris Lashbrook with Alex Cattle further behind. And the rest of the field will filter on through, but fair play to Reece Wakefield. Somewhere in a cloud of smoke there is a Corvette celebrating. There he is.
Absolutely. Doing a burnout on the outside of turn number 1. It's another race victory for Reece Wakefield. The question remains, who can stop him here? We by far got the closest tonight to finding out who could stop him. The first, Jensen, I thought had a big enough lead, then Searle, but in the end, neither of them could convert a whole race, and that's what Wakefield's so good at doing, time after time after time, converting these opportunities into victories every time.
Look at the Quality Cartel boys celebrating Liam Jensen's second place. They've managed to find each other, and we're going to see a nice little convoy all the way home here, I expect. Although I think it's actually more to get Thomas Kuhl home. He's out of fuel.
It looks like it, yeah.
That's some teamwork there. I don't know if I tried a race pace, but why not? The 3 Mustangs, nose to tail, getting everyone back to the pit lane is the plan.
Well, they're just about going to make it back. But in the meantime, we'll have a look at the race results before we have a chat to some of these drivers. Reece Wakefield takes the victory, 3.7 seconds this time ahead of Liam Jensen, with Ryan Palmer finishing on the podium as well. Michael Whiting was finished just in front of James Doyle in the end there for 4th place, with Trent Thomas getting all the way up to 6th place. That's 14 places gained for him as well. Mitch Curry up to 7th, Danny McCrohan, Thomas Kuhl, Dean Power rounding out the top 10, with Jared Burns not able to quite get past him, Chris Lashbrook and Alex Cattle in that group as well. James Foster 14th in front of James Sohani, Cody Blackman outside the top 15 with then Troy Maguire, Ryan Borg, Brian East and Chris Miller rounding out the top 20. Outside of the top 20 was James Bunker, followed by Patrick Frame, and Chris Croat and Ian Ward on the lead lap. 1 lap down for Scott Stevens, Jeremy Washington with that late crash, Christian Tachenko and Pat Trappett. Thomas Searle never recovered and never got back out after his crash. 2 laps down for him in the end. Mick Poley, Danny Davis and Dan Bartush retired earlier in that first safety car, and Cruz McVie never started that second or first race. Reece Wakefield is where they're standing by, waiting to come and join us for a little bit of a chat. Reece, welcoming. Congratulations on race victory in both races again here tonight. Let's talk about race 2 first, though, because that was by far the closest you've come since the second round to not winning a race. Just talk us through the emotions of that race and the battles you were involved in, because it was quite extraordinary to watch.
Yeah, race 2 definitely made me work for it. No, look, it was great battles all around. I also thought that Thomas would have had me at the end there. Like, my pit stop was longer than his. I knew I was quicker on pace. I'm like, oh, it might be a last lap dash to get him. But unfortunately for Thomas, he had that spin into T1, which gave me clean air just to keep going. But yeah, the battles were great. I enjoyed the battles, every single part of it. Definitely made me work hard for this win.
So what was the reason for that? What was it about this round that was different? Was it the safety car sort of delaying the amount of time you had left in the race and indeed just changing the race situation? Was it this circuit that was sort of semi-difficult to overtake on? A bit of coincidence in terms of this is just the circuit where it's happened to happen? What was the reason, do you think, for it? You find it a bit more difficult this time than some previous times?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, the safety car cut down 2 out of the 20 laps. And in that safety car period, I was still in P10. So I still had 10 cars to catch up in 8 laps. And at Sebring, it's especially the first sector, it's a very one-line sector. So you need to either really commit or just be patient and try and get a good exit out of turn 4, I think it is, under that back straight before the hairpin, and try and sit up under the wing. Then hopefully get them in the hairpin. I managed to do a few outside maneuver overtakes, which I was quite impressed with myself about. But yeah, it's a good track. It's a good battling track. But yeah, definitely the safety car, and being a bit further back than what I hoped in that safety car period definitely hampered my ability to move up.
Well, congratulations on moving up at the end, although it was a bit later than normal, getting to the win in race 2, as well as a good drive in race number 1 as well, Reece. And thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. Reece Wakeford, winner of both races tonight in the Sebring round of our championship. Second place in race 2 was Liam Jensen, who also joins us now. Liam, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Tell us about how you're feeling at the end of race number 2 there, because you were leading some laps. I thought you were hold on to win that race, actually, but in the end it wasn't to be. Just tell us if you're disappointed or that you didn't win, or pleased with second place.
I'm pretty pleased with second place, to be honest. It's been a little while. I think the last time I even got a podium was a win last season at GT3, one of the first rounds. So I think it might have been round 1 even, to be honest. So yeah, it's been a bit of a drought for me. So I think I'll take P2. Reece is just that little bit too quick, I think. And yeah, unfortunately got held up. I think it was behind Chris Miller after my bit earlier pit stop. Which, yeah, gave Reece that little bit of a gap, and yeah, he's just that little bit too quick for me.
How have you been finding this season so far? Because we haven't had the chance to chat to you too often. This is, you know, one of your better results, and a couple of top 10s here tonight is sort of exactly where you've been this season. How pleased have you been with the first half?
It started off pretty rough, to be honest, but it seems to be improving as we go. So yeah, I look forward to where we go next. I'm a big fan of Sebring. It was not too long ago, me and some of the other Koala Cartel boys did a Sebring 6-hour, one of the official endurance races in the GTP. Yeah, that was a whole lot of fun, and yeah, I felt pretty confident around there, so I just sort of transferred that over to the GT3 car and seemed to go all right.
Well, congratulations on finishing second in race 2, especially here tonight, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
No worries. Big shout out to Sabrina Carpenter, big idol of mine, and just want to say Cruz McPhee and Liam Tipping are the big P word. I won't say that on stream, but I think you can imagine what I mean by that, considering they didn't race tonight. But yeah, appreciate you lads. You're doing a great job in the broadcast and everything.
Are your shout-outs going to continue to get weirder? Just so I know.
Yeah, probably. Look, Koala Cartel seems to be a common theme. Hayden Veld is all you need to know for that one. He's generally in our Discord when he races, so yeah, he's a bad influence.
Okay. Well, thanks for chatting to us anyway, Liam. Hopefully we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Cheers, lads. See ya.
Thanks very much. Liam Jensen, second place in race 2 tonight, in front of, I think, the driver of the day, perhaps the driver of the season from Ryan Palmer here in race 2 tonight. Ryan, congratulations on getting into a podium position. Just how are you feeling at the end of that race there? You had a last lap battle with Daniel McCrowan. You eventually saw him off, and amazingly, you managed to get into third place after starting 25th in race 2. Just how did you manage that?
I have no words. I honestly have no idea. Got a decent start. I think took a couple of people off the start, and then I drove smart, I guess. I went down the outside into the hairpin down there, and it was the right decision with all the cars spinning down there. So then just slowly picked them off and got within my pit window, and I was like, I'm burning time here. So I figured, just jump in the pits and take on more fuel, because I underfueled in race 1 and I was pretty pissed with myself, but made sure I covered myself, and yeah, basically went flat out full send as best I could be.
Have you, we haven't had a chance to chat to you this season, so how have you found the first half of this season now that we're at halfway exactly? Good season for yourself so far?
Well, believe it or not, it's kind of a bit of a cameo for me. So I signed up, I'm in the middle of soccer training and stuff, so I don't know if I'm going to race or not. So signed up, thought I'd come race with the boys and, see how I go. But I was in race control at, I can't remember what it was, Portimao, and that was very scary and sketchy. That was a sketchy round. But other than that, it's been, from what I've seen, from the sidelines and stuff like that, it's been, a pretty sweaty season.
Yeah, well, sorry, I didn't realise you hadn't been here all the time. But,
nah, you're all good. All good.
Congrats on getting third place tonight. Seriously, one of the drives of the season. So congratulations on getting to third, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
Before you go, Ryan, I'm going to jump in. Yeah. What the hell is this paint, my friend?
Well, I obviously focusing mainly on supercars, so I had to pick a car that kind of drives like a supercar, and I drove the Corvette at Sandown last week, so I was like, well, this is good. And then Josh said you can't race unless it's got a paint job, and I was like, well, we don't have one for the Corvette, and I was like, Mitch, guide me through a paint job. And what started with the black and red ended up a lot of just slapping everything on the car, I guess.
Somehow it almost comes together, mate. I don't know whether to be disgusted or impressed, but you've more than made up with it with the drive tonight, so I'll allow it.
Yeah. It was really good. I thought I'd put a little bit of a message on there saying, "Hi Jared, hi Owen. Did I do a good job with the paint job?" So, it was good. So that car felt really good to me, and I think I just stayed out. And Jeremy came out in front of me in the pit stop, and I was like, "Jeremy, let's go." And so we just went out of time. Big unfortunate to him, man. That was his podium. That's like not mine at all. So a bit unfortunate, but yeah.
Well, congrats again, Ryan. Hopefully we'll see you again at some point the rest of the season. Who knows?
Yeah, hopefully I'll make another appearance here. It was good fun, but thanks boys for tonight. It was good fun.
Thanks very much. That's Ryan Palmer, third place in race 2 here tonight from Sebring in the Easy Motorcycles Pairs GT3 Championship. Jared, I think race 2 tonight was perhaps the race of the season for me. Maybe there's ones I'm forgetting. Feel free to point them out as well at home or for yourself. But that for me was perhaps the best race of the season. There was drama at the beginning, lots of crashes at the beginning actually. But after that, it had it settled out into a wonderful battle at the front of the field and a dramatic finish as well, with the lead changing overall in the last couple of laps.
We opened tonight's broadcast talking about how much we both do kind of lament the death of the sprint round. If this is what we're going to see from these double feature rounds, you know what? That's okay. I could live with not having sprint rounds, because if they're going to deliver something like this each and every time, we might just be on to a winner. That was absolute chaos in the best way. Some really, really interesting strategy choices that may have paid off or may not have at various times, but just all around amazing racing. Now, whether that's the double feature or the fact that we're at Sebring, I'm not actually convinced either way yet, but I guess we'll see the next time we have our double feature round.
Yes, as you say, I was sceptical, but if this is what it's like, then that's fine by me. These double alternate features. To be fair, we only have one more at the Hockenheim. Next week, though, is an endurance at Mugello for round number 6, and that is the week before our week break. So we're back next week, same time, same place, but not the week after. I'll obviously remind you again next week. But 90 minutes of an endurance race coming up for round number 6. So hopefully you will you join us for that as well. Coming after the break, by the way, Adelaide, Hockenheim, Bathurst, Monza to the end of the season, which is on March the 18th. So hope you can join us throughout the season. That's just about it from us here tonight, though, at Sebring. One of the rounds of the season here in the Easy Motorcycles Pairs GT3 Championship to bring us to the halfway mark, indeed. So 5 rounds to come. Next week we'll be at Mugello, same time, same place. Hope you can join us then here on Zipper Racing Broadcast for that. For now, I've been Ian Leary alongside Jared Colt. Until we're back in 1 week from Mugello, it's goodbye for now.